Recording in progress.
Hello, I'm Tanishka and currently I'm a sophomore studying bioengineering. I'm also known as Amber in Army Spaces. Today I'll be facilitating this panel named Sharing My Story with Army. Yutsha and Precious present here. Please introduce yourselves and your work that you have submitted in the R3 journal.
Hello, my name is Yutsha. I am a researcher based in Nepal, and I also like to write poems and short stories, but mostly poems. And the work that I submitted is a poem about BTS that I wrote while I was walking at night, and I was able to see stars, and it just like came to me. Yeah, that's my work.
Hi everyone, I'm Precious. I'm 20 years old and I'm from South Africa. My poem is Synchronicity. Um, it's about mental health and the challenges I faced with mental health and how I slowly started to get better after I met BTS because they gave me hope and some light. I had something to look forward to daily because of BTS, and that's what my poem is about.
So let's move forward with some questions that you all can answer one by one. And for the audience, you can type out the questions for them and they will be answered at the end of the panel. So for first, what events led you to submit in the journal?
Should I go first? All right. As I was saying, I write in order to I write poems as a way to express myself. I have been writing journal entries and diaries since I was very young. So writing has always been a medium for me to express myself. And when I first came across BTS, I'm sure all of us can relate that I was like taken over this wave of emotions, and there was so much going on, and I just needed to like let it out. And this poem kind of became a way for me to do that. And every day I was discovering something new, and it was so exciting. And I would tell my army friend who has been in army for longer than I had, um, and I also sent her this poem because I was always so excited to share everything related to BTS. And she's the one who kind of encouraged me to send it to R3, and she also introduced me to R3. I didn't know about it back then, and yeah, and I did, and the rest is history.
Well, for me, I first saw the word synchronicity from the R3 actually, and I discovered the meaning of the word. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw one day they posted that were encouraging you to submit your poems, your illustrations, whatever. And I had been going through a writer's block. I hadn't written since like 2019, maybe June or July. And when I saw that, I knew I had to title the poem Synchronicity because they came at the right time. And I wrote the poem like so quick in like 30 minutes or so. And that was like just phenomenal for me. Yeah.
So are there any tips you would like for armies to know before submitting to any journal?
Um, I'd encourage them to like read the terms and conditions first because I didn't read the terms and conditions and I struggled a bit because you had to put your signature in the forms and you had to read to make sure that you were submitting to the right people and that your work wouldn't be stolen and everything. So I encourage people to like read the terms and conditions before and then submit. That's what I advise you to do.
Yeah, definitely that. And also, for me, what I feel is that creative, especially with creative submissions, it's a very subjective, people have very subjective opinion of creative things and creative writing or art or anything. And it can be very personal at times. So I would say that if you are submitting to a journal or anywhere, then like keep an open mind about receiving feedback from your editors, and also like leave some space for that as well, because you at the end you have the last say in your own work, about your own work. But sometimes like you have to let go and also trust the editor's judgment, which I have learned to do as well. So I would also give that as a um as some tips, yeah, before submitting.
Yeah, it's important to like accept criticism too, right? So,
Yeah.
is there a story you would like to share related to your submission or its making process?
mm, Precious, would you want to share first?
Mm,
So,
Uh, I just remember receiving the email after saying that your poem is gonna be published, and but we'd like to make some changes. You mentioned editing, and that was I was mind blown. It's like people read my poem and they want to put it in their journal. That's phenomenal. And the editor Kate, she was so kind, and she was like, "We'd like to add some things." And it's a very personal poem. It's a very deep poem and triggering poem. So I had to like put myself back into a dark place and try to emote what I was feeling into words, which was very difficult, but I managed to do it and the poem came out fine.
That's great. Yeah, I also had a very pleasant experience overall. I think, yeah, it was great to kind of um, put my work out there. I generally don't share what I write, um, unless it's like academic and work related. So it was really nice to, um, yeah, put my work, creative work out there, and especially with a team that seemed so supportive and so professional as well, which was great.
yeah, as Precious said, it's really hard to go back to that place and write it out again. So, and putting yourself out there is a big thing to do. And making other armies sharing your stories with other armies, it's really like sharing your pain with others. So, yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah.
so is there any positive event or a hobby that was inspired by BTS, or you started doing it, and or a work thing that you keep doing it because BTS inspired you in some way, and armies too?
Mm.
You speak first.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I read a lot. I've been reading since a young age. So I read a book earlier this year, The Midnight Library, and they mentioned it in the soup. I was like, oh, that's cool. Because when I was reading the book, I constantly sent my friend like little passages from the book. And I was telling her that Namjoon would really love this book. He'd really love this book because it's a very great book. It speaks about so many great things, speaks about regrets and how we should honestly live our lives to the best. Even if we saw in the previous episode they were playing volleyball, they're not good at it, but they were having a good time. The book teaches you things like that. So when I saw the book in the soup, I was so mind blown. I was like, yeah, Namjoon will definitely enjoy this book. He'll definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed the book. I read it as well. Um, for me, I think there's like I keep going back to BTS at every different point in my life, but one of the biggest kind of change has been about with their message of self-love. I think that really like sunk deep with BTS because we've been hearing about love yourself, self-love um, all the time in media. It's quite a popular phrase, but then with BTS and their art and their music, like for the first time, it really sunk in for me. And I think what I realized is that being loving yourself or self love is not like to be the best version of yourself, which is often dictated by societal norms, but rather to accept yourself, and it's about self acceptance. I still want to give my best and do my best, but the way that I've started to think and perceive my own actions and what I want to be has definitely changed. So yeah, that that message really like it changed the way I was thinking and how I do things, and yeah.
Yeah, like
Oh, I'd,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I'd like to add on your points and say that on failing, it's okay to fail. I've learned that it's okay to fail, and I'll just push through it. And you say you're completely right. You're completely right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wasn't into music that much, and I haven't used technology much until I entered ninth, I guess, ninth grade. So when I was actually introduced to the music by my sister, and their message of self reflection and introspection and everything, and I was going through that phase myself, and that was what attracted me to. It's really
Yeah.
yeah. So now that you have all mentioned that as you have mentioned, Yutsha, that you do research, right? And so you have done academic writing. So is there both of you have you all written before R3 and personal writing or something? Have you been doing that before submitting?
Yeah, I do write a lot for my work as well, and also for I don't know self-expression. Yeah, I did write. I've been writing for a really long time now. Yeah. Was there more to the question? I don't know if I answered or not.
Same as you, I've been writing for a long time. As I said, I've been reading for a long time, so my imagination runs wild. A story I can think of is like in fifth grade or sixth grade, I used to write like small stories, small dialogues, and my friends would read them and they'd want more and more because I was just coming up with this imaginative stories. And it was like a different thing from the prescribed reading that we had to do at school. So yeah, I've been writing for a very long time. Mhm.
Like expressing ourselves and putting it in papers is really a part of different reflection types. So I was like Sisin was going to join us, and she was interested in this question, and I thought that maybe everyone could know about it. Then there's as COVID pandemic and all, and it's going back and readjusting. So, and we are going back to the classes, jobs, and concerts are opening again, and there will be problems readjusting again. How have you all been dealing with it?
It's been tough. It's been so tough. It was last year I was experiencing the COVID blues because I was back on campus and not many people on campus. My friends weren't there either. So I was very lonely. And during that time, if you're lonely, depression, you don't sleep, insomnia. So I was just scrolling through TikTok and I came across a BTS video and I said, okay, let me keep an open mind. And I listened to the verse, and I knew I had to be an army right there and then. So they came at the perfect time when I was lonely, when COVID was doing the absolute most, and they helped me through that. They really helped me through that. Yeah.
That's good to know. For me, readjusting has been a bit confusing, and I feel like I'm still in that transition phase. Um, but the most difficult has been going back to this 8 hour. I have to work 8 hour a day kind of mentality, and then I'm like, I get tired after working for 4 hours. What is the point of staying in the office for 8 hours? So I um but thank God my office is a bit flexible, so I can adjust the time. But yeah, that has been a big change. That a productive day is not working for 8 hours long. It can still be like it can be shorter, or not every day has to be productive, and not even my chill time or time I spend to just relax has to be productive. Um, so yeah, I am learning new things about how to spend my time. But yeah, it's taking time to kind of really adjust to that new way of thinking as well.
Yeah, like before, during the pandemic, like in India, there was phase two. When the phase two started of the COVID, I got myself infected. So I was in my room for more than a month, I guess. So it was really weird to come out and then interact with people again. And because I spent my whole day like laying and did nothing, basically
Mm.
just used technology was there, and main thing that kept me going was BTS and armies because I had a space to vent, and I had a space that BTS and the soup started at the time and first, and I was like, okay, I can see them doing stuff, I'll feel happy at that way. And then after I came, and now I'm like starting to go out again. So it's I understood the main purpose of like physical presence of people. Like before I thought do not require people presence that much, but now I'm like, okay, I need it. I can't stay away from that much. So that self thing.
We're all humans. We require human interaction and physical interaction. No matter how introverted you are, you still need physical beings.
So now we can start with the questions, or some of the questions we can take for now and go along. Um I'll ask. There's a question Mars asks: what changes have you noticed in your writing style since your poems have been published in the journal?
Um, for me, I've become more honest with myself. I write how I feel, even if it's just rough. I write how I feel, and then if I want to edit it, I edit it later, or I just leave it as it is, and I share it with my friend if I feel like it's something I want to share. But overall, I've just become more honest with myself, and the stories and the poems have become more personal. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely more honest, and also I kind of uh, technically speaking, I really enjoy extended metaphors. Like I've noticed that I use it more in my when I'm writing my poems. Yeah, I think that is the main uh, difference that I've noticed. And also, like sometimes I would add in some things that, like, I know when to kind of not add some things that I might want to add in order to um, make the poem kind of sound better. So I'm also like listening to the rhythm of the poem. I'm reading it out loud and listening to how it sounds as well. And so that kind of helps me edit it as well.
So it's like the feedback and then you reviewing it twice, thrice, a lot of times, and it gives a different perspective and how you can improve it. And of course, as Precious said, we become a bit honest with ourselves while writing, because I've also written, but personally, and there's usually after there's like I use it as an outlet. So after I read it again, it's really gibberish. So it doesn't make any sense, but it's full of emotions. And I can, after submitting, I've submitted to R3 before, but the feedback process gives you a professional, like, how to structure it, right? So next question. She asks, Precious, you mentioned that it's okay to fail, and BTS's messages help you to understand that. I'd like to know from all the three of you what BTS songs or moment helps to recharge or motivate you when you feel like you're failing or not doing what you're supposed to do with your life or your writing. Precious, you're muted.
I can think of three songs. The one that's on my repeat these days is Moonlight by Sugar and Moonchild and Everything Goes. And it's mostly Sugar's first mixtape. That mixtape resonates with me and I listen to it a lot. It's a mixtape that I enjoy and I can resonate with. So I think that's the ultimate mixtape for me.
For me, it's my like the line that I feel like I might get a tattoo of. I don't know. I'm still thinking, but yeah, which means a lot to me is from Magic Shop when it says, "You gave me the best of me, so you will give you the best of you," and it really kind of gives me hope that if I am able to give the best of myself to best of themselves to BTS, or so then I'm able to do that for myself as well. Um, yeah, I I keep going back to that song again and again, and then I also listen to Idol because that kind of really fuels my main character energy. Yeah.
I'd just like to say that Idol is influenced by South Africa, where I'm from. The beats are South African, and the Kwara Kwara originates from South Africa, actually.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
I remember reading a thread going on Twitter about it. So I'll share if I find it.
Yes,
It's your personal. Or Precious, if you send a link, we can read it in detail about it. And for me, there's many things, like a BTS song will be Epiphany. Like he sings about giving things to ourselves and not, and that is like the main thing that I focus on, because I can't take decisions easily, and I'm always asking for validation or advice, and that's so that when I am not really feeling good, I always go back to Epiphany. And the moment would be like always watching them doing the best. It makes me want to do my best too. Like the magic shop line you said, it's the same. Them like for now it would be the concert. They kept saying that they could hear us and they wanted to perform, but they still give their all during the online concerts. And it's really difficult to see, like enjoyable, then afterwards what they reflect on it, and they keep like Namjoon shares short poems, or like he writes letters to us, right? So like seasons, like every season ends and he gives a letter to us, and that's like uh, makes me also want to think about it with what I am doing in life currently, not keep doing the whole thing. 24-hour passes and I don't think at all, and that stops. It's like a stop for introspection time. So
Yeah, and somehow it's like his letters are speaking to exactly what you're going through at the moment. Somehow it just like lines up perfectly. And you're like, how did you know?
and his words are so tender and so gentle. I hope in future I write with that much gentleness and tenderness, and I hope people can like feel my kindness through my words. That's Namjoon. His kindness, his tenderness, his gentleness, his salt. That's what I like about his letters the most.
like Precious is saying that, but I've read her poem. I do make threads for the marketing team. So I've read her poem, and they really connected with me, yours and both of yours, because like it takes me time to process these poems and then think about it, and they touch like really like at the spot and makes me emotional. And Precious, they really do touch your poems. Yeah, they're nice. Then let's
Thank you.
okay. Next question would be, Sasha asks, how has publishing your work helped you as a creative individual and a writer? What advice and suggestions would all of you give to army creatives who might feel hesitant about publishing their work? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, speak first.
Well, the main thing that publishing has done is kind of given me more confidence about my writing. Often, like, I wouldn't really share, as I said, I don't really share my poems out to everybody, even my friends or family. So, publishing and even not just getting it published, but going through the process of editing and then getting that getting your own citation, it kind of made me feel more validated
Right.
and confident about my confident about my own writing. And once you go through that process, it might feel intimidating at first. However, at least with the art3 team, they're very nice and very understanding and very polite. And so it having that being in that safe space also helped me kind of to put myself out there, because it can be very intimidating if somebody kind of critiques something that is so personal to you, right? But I think the the thing is about finding a place where you would feel comfortable putting your work and then just go with it.
You said everything I said, but then submitting and getting my own citation validated me as a writer, because I did not see myself as a writer at all. The whole week after the issue 2 was published, I was just screaming on Twitter, telling my friends, they called me a writer. They called me a poet. My poem is out. Go and read it. Go and read other people's submissions. So submitting has basically validated me as a writer. Of course, I doubt myself at times, but then I remember that everyone doubts themselves from time to time. I can't always have like a straight path. And for other writers, I just think you should just submit. don't think about it too much. Just submit, and whatever happens, happens. If your poem wasn't, or whatever you submitted wasn't chosen that time, try again until you get the outcome you want. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I've during the process becomes easier when you get the reviews, and reviews, there's always compliments included, right? So that makes things easier. And I would, as you both said, um, just the whole thing about these army spaces, journals and magazines, there's various, and like R3, there's other magazines, literary magazines, and those who, the main purpose of them, I think, is to give armies voice, because we are really looked down upon by the media in general, and various things are said, and through families also, families and parents, are many families and parents do the same thing. So having an outlet and getting validation, and especially like journaling it for future generations to see that there is diversity, and there's emotions involved, and many things are involved that matter, and these voices will help soothe other armies who are like right now shy or hesitant to submit. Maybe they'll open up and speak for themselves by reading these things. And that's the main thing that these journals are for, right? For giving us a voice. So, and as I'm working behind the scenes a bit, so it's like everyone's really excited to get submissions. Like, they shared their story and it's really important. So we cherish each and every submission. And because we are also armies, and listening to different armies is really great. Like, sharing a space and the same sentiment, right? So don't be hesitant, just take one step forward, and we'll help you throughout it. And you can also ask others who have already submitted, right, like us, and they can also help, right? So now we can read stories. I had asked you all, and the last panel had three people more: Netra, Sakshi, and you, and Leonie. So you six had submitted stories anonymously. I'll read two of them, and we can discuss a bit on it, okay? So first will be, I'll start, okay? I've always felt like I didn't belong in my friend groups, like an extension to the group, but never fully accepted. I knew loneliness before I knew what books could do for me. I never embraced loneliness. I tried my best to fit in where I was accepted. Even when my friend group suddenly decided they weren't going to be my friends anymore after my mom and I spent the weekend at our new house. It was being renovated. That was the beginning of rejection and a path I would walk many more times. The beginning of isolation. I tried my best to fit in when we moved to the new house and made new friends. But I faced rejection once again, and loneliness started calling out to me. It is, of course, easier to be friends with people you see 5 times a week. At least in high school, I could mask my loneliness. At least I could have friends to take selfies with, to share crushes and first kisses. Many parties, silly, trendy outfits, visiting each other's families, laughing endlessly at the dumbest things. I wish I had avoided the last laugh, because loneliness would know no bounds in adulthood. High school was a good time. I completely want to forget it, but I miss my friendships from high school. I wish someone would have told me that I have to make 7 million friends in my first year. I would have made friends with all my 150 classmates. Maybe I wouldn't be writing this right now. Don't get me wrong, I did make 3 friends, but 2 of them transferred to other universities, and the one left behind has a friend group that I don't fit well in. Surprise. They already have their inside jokes and this unspoken plans, and they know what the other likes to drink. How could I ever feel welcomed with them? I knew loneliness was as a child, and I know that loneliness comes with longing. I long for friends at school, friends to hang out with, to complain about the university and how horrible it makes us feel. I long for days where I can sit at the library with my friends and pretend we are studying. But we know we can't do that because talking about everything under the sun is much better than misery in the form of schoolwork. My university is small and in the middle of nowhere. Once you make friends, you stay with them forever. I have dance classes on Wednesdays, but my attempts at friendships are very futile. Maybe I don't have the right social skills. I long for friends at home. I pretend the jokes about how my family could never host a big party for me because who would they invite? Don't hurt at all. I laugh and shrug it off because how could I ever explain to my family that the loneliness is too heavy to bear? That the rejection sits right by my side when I attempt to befriend someone, that I just want to belong. I just want friends. I want to be seen. I'm tired of the physical and emotional loneliness. It's sad how I watch people with their friends and wish that was me with them. How I'm not sure how to fix the alienation. Maybe this is a silent scream from help. Maybe this is my way of admitting that rejection and loneliness burden me and makes me feel like I'm not living. I've been with myself for a long time. I know that this isn't learning how to be alone without other people. Maybe this is my silence deciding to have a voice because it is too tiring to be in the ocean when others smoothly glide by my side. So I can relate to a bit. It's sad, but for now, I have friends in real life, and they are armies too, and some are not. But I have someone to share things with. University, and I was, if I might share, like connect a bit, how I connect with this person is like before in high school or throughout my schooling days, I did not make one friend. Everyone was, because I was really introvert, and I don't remember much of the high school also. I don't remember much, but it was really hard to even talk. I don't know why. So I relate to this, but yeah, it's online friends help. Now day to day friends, it's really hard. What do you think?
Mm, yeah, it's difficult to go through life without friends and without people you really connect with. But I've also kind of realized something as after kind of getting out from this university space, which is that we're often told that you're supposed to have your after university or in university you meet your best friend forever, your soulmate, and that person is your friend for life, and they are your ride or die, and things like tropes like that of friendship, and that's not usually true. Usually, I have friends who are armies. I have friends who are not armies. I have friends who are my work friends. I have friends in different like aspects of my life, and that's okay. Like you don't have to have that one true best friend who is there, who kind of represents everything. And it's good to kind of have different friends for different things. And I also see that reflected in BTS. There are 7 of them, and they have very special relationships. Each of them have very special relationship with each one, and that kind of also gives me hope and inspires me to like make more, like meet different friends and not really rely on one friendship or one person.
Um, of course, friendship is important. I think we all need friends, and friends are amazing, of course, but like navigating through life without friends can be challenging because sometimes you need a shoulder to lean on, and some things you can't tell your parents. So, yeah, friends are really important, and there's no way of navigating loneliness. I don't know what to say, honestly. Loneliness is difficult to navigate. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm.
And also, like, I think another thing to add is that it's we also have to learn how to be our own friend. We we know how to be alone by ourselves, but how do we be our own friend while when we are alone, or when we feel lonely? And yeah, so discovering yourself and being your own best friend, um, that is also really important. And also kind of accepting that sometimes you do feel lonely, and everybody feels lonely and alone, and that's not wrong. Like, it's okay, that's completely acceptable as well.
Yeah, like loneliness navigation is we keep learning these things throughout the years, and it's not a one stop process. And making friends, maybe finding like you said, Yutsha, that having for some things, having some friends in different groups is, and not one best friend, like finding that one best friend is really hard, and we can't go back to our years and find one and choose, and coming up across them is really, yeah, so it's trial and error thing, and you keep trying to find someone you, yeah. And how, yeah, so I'll continue with the next story then, if you want to add, if someone else wants to add something. Okay, so next story is, so this is a content warning about body image. Okay, I've always been my biggest critic, my own worst enemy. A lot of it had to do with how I viewed my body. I hated how I looked. I believed my bullies when they called me ugly and fat. I allowed the words they used to torment me to become a part of who I am. I wish I knew better then. I wish I could go to my past self and tell her that she's beautiful, that she deserves the thing she wants. It has been a long journey from forgiveness to acceptance to self love, and it hasn't been easy, and it is definitely not complete. The biggest role BTS played in this is that they made me realize that if I can love other people and give them the best of me, then I can, and capable of doing that for myself as well. The songs and messages of self love have been a constant source of comfort and reminder that I need to be my best friend before anything. As you said,
Um, as a child, I was also a big child, so I lost weight at around grade 7 or so, and I've been that weight since like 10th grade when I started gaining weight again. And parents of color and families of color, they're gonna mention your weight. You've lost weight, you're skinny, you've gained weight, you're so fat, why don't you lose weight? So I also think that above all, it's the people around us who also uh, impact how we view ourselves. And I don't think body image is something you can get over like within, okay, maybe you can heal within a year. I don't think so, because if you grew up knowing that people viewed your body like that, it starts becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. And subconsciously, it's also how you view yourself. So moments where you loathe yourself and I normal too. And there will be moments where you're like, just stay away, haters. And I love my body. And that's normal too. It's okay to loathe your body. It's not always necessary to love yourself and love your body. There are moments where you just like, this is tough. This is tough on my body. This is tough on my mental health. And that's okay. It's okay to have off days. That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. um, yeah, we are not always on our best form as we would want to be, and that's also okay. And it's okay to kind of accept that and be like, this is who I am, and this is what it is, and just yeah, accept that as well. And it's especially difficult when people around us, especially as you said, our families and other people around us might view us from what our body looks like, and that's the first thing that they see, and that is the first thing that is associated with who you are. And because you are so, you've become so used to thinking about yourself from their perspective and how they view you from a very young age, it can be very difficult to kind of um, unlearn that. But I think that once you realize that and once you recognize that, it's a long process, and yeah, slowly I hope we can learn to unlearn.
Definitely, the unlearning process is really important. We not only about a body image, there's so many concepts that we get ingrained throughout our years, adolescence and childhood, and all those, like how, what is an ideal image of everything, and what work should you do, what you shouldn't, how you should sit, how you should act. Everything is ingrained by us in, and the toxic part, or the harmful part, that we harm ourselves while thinking. If we don't comment on others, but even if we don't comment on others, there's like thoughts still going on. I think that we think about ourselves. So the unlearning is really hard, and it takes time. But how this person has learned herself themselves, that way I have to, like, before, my body has changed for myself. Like, my body has changed after puberty, of course. And while I was skinny, a lot skinny before, and now the comments have changed. Before it was like, you'll fly away with the wind and all these funny things. Then they grew serious by the time. And because I have never been commented these stuff, it's really hard to, like, okay, they are saying, but I can deflect them because it's new to me. So yeah, I'm learning to like deflect these comments also. So yeah, these things. And bullying is like, kids, I don't know why, like kids bully a lot in school. It's always there. And maybe it's just their, what's going in their mind, and I don't know. But i've I have also experienced bullying, but it was due to in India, the skin color and all matters a lot, and I was bullied for that. So it was really difficult to, that added to all my insecurity and talking. But now I've embraced myself a bit better. So yeah, process is really important. Anyway, if uh, do you want me to read any other stories or anything else you'd like to add, and more tips about army, for army writers, for sharing stories or anything? Okay.
I would like to
Um,
mention one thing, which is that one of the most impressive and impactful and uh, army writings that I've seen and read is in fan fiction, and I also wanted to like put it out there. So yeah, if somebody is looking for inspiration from army writers, and if poems are not necessarily your thing, but you are interested in creative writing and short stories, then maybe you'd also want to um, look into that. And because there's so many wonderful, wonderful writers um, who have written great stories, and they've kept me company
Yucha, you have no choice
throughout
but to drop
quarantine.
the. Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
You have no choice. You have no choice but to drop the fan fictions. We also want to read them.
my recommendations.
Yeah.
I will. I will.
So you can send them later on, or
Okay. Yeah, I'll send it in a discussion, Discord discussion.
yeah, yes. And for me, Precious, you had something to say before?
No, no, no. No, I was just saying that she has to share her recommendations.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's I'm really thankful because you'll join and shared so many things and your thoughts. And I would really like if you all can share later on if you publish anything new, share with us or with me at least, so that we can keep in touch with ourselves, with you all. And yeah. So
Uh, Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for hosting this panel and moderating and asking such wonderful questions. I had a really nice time, and it also made me kind of. I wrote this poem a year ago, and it was nice to go back and, think about how I started, like getting into BTS and what I really enjoy about them and what speaks to me. And it's really nice to share that. Thank you.
Yucha, when you mention it, November is roughly around the time we submitted our poems in like late November, maybe before after B came out. So mentioning that brings back amazing memories. And thank you for being here. Thank you for your submissions. And thank you for the wonderful discussion and everyone for sending their questions. They were enjoyable
there's one
questions.
more question. There's one more question from Sasha. How can we follow your work on social media?
Oh,
Okay.
So
I don't post my work on social media.
okay, so if Sasha
Like
wants,
my socials.
yeah, or any way you can share them, both can share them any way you're comfortable.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter.
Yeah.
My Twitter handle is youth1306. Yeah,
My
We
I share
can,
my work.
yeah, we can drop that in the Discord after like that party that goes on in the discussion. And if you want, like type it out, our moderator can also copy it
yeah, I can
and
type
send
it
it on the
out.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you are comfortable sharing, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
So, any other comments? If you all want to discuss anything else, and we are really excited for the concert that's coming. I would like, is there anything you'd like expecting a song, or you can predict a song that would be in the offline concert, first concert?
Um, I'm looking forward to the Black Swan performance because all of the Black Swan performances have been outstanding, mind blowing. I'm still stuck on Jimin's performance from last year's Mods 1 concert, and I sincerely hope they perform Paradise and Louder Than Bombs. And I was telling my friend that Louder and Bombs and On are actually twins because when you look at the lyrics, they speak about the same things. So I really hope they perform those songs. Unlikely, but still hopeful.
Yeah, I feel like they'll find they've been talking about performing on for a really long time for a live audience. So I I'm looking forward to that as well.
It's like when Jungkook performed on live, the Paradise and Louder Than Bombs, I guess, on his birthday. I was watching it live with my sister, and we were really doing it like a mini concert, and we were dancing along, and it was really fun. So to imagine armies finally meeting and the Black Swan dance, to see it in person would be really amazing. Like, just imagining it's really like goosebumps. So so any last comments? We can now end it. Is okay, thank you for joining again.
Thank you for everything.
Bye.